Um Today I will be talk about dependency injection. Dependency injection is a process when we are splitting our main codes. Main code means basically where we are communications with data. So that data part are splitting with the other other class files. Okay, so
Okay.
that class files called as a services class, and that services class can manage the data which is comes from the server, come to the server, or if you have any kind of different type of logics if you want to implementing, so that time we can using this dependency injection. And today I wanted to talk about uh, two major things: dependency injection and HTTP clients. Okay.
Okay.
uh, and I also want to inform you, Thursday I will
Okay.
be busy for some ceremony, so can we
Okay.
shift
Okay.
that session in other time?
Sure. Sure. Anytime. That should be
Which
fine.
time is possible for you?
After 4 o'clock, anytime is okay, sir.
10 sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
that 10 after 4 o'clock, after
After 4, anytime is
after
fine
4
with me.
p.m., right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I give you 5 p.m. Thursday, is it
Yeah. That's fine with me. That's fine with me.
okay? Mm,
Anytime you can just you let me know half an hour, 30, 1 hour before, then I'll be ready. That's all.
okay, okay. Actually, I uh, messaged you after some time after class, after my classes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to do your sessions 5 p.m. For
Okay.
Thursday only.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And if you have required to change your schedule, I can also, if I available, then I can
Okay.
customize for that.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So today I discuss about two major things. One is the dependency part, and another is the HTTP client. HTTP client
Okay.
get the API requests from the API endpoints. Okay, and
Okay.
API request like set, get, put, delete, whatever you create the API endpoints from the server side, and that server side can be connected with this HTTP clients, HTTP client
Okay.
object. Okay, but this HTTP client object when we wanted to use, so that HTTP client also can use through this dependency injection part, and this dependency injection part is a service class. Okay, here I have some service class overview. So just I wanted to see so what type of things is here. So here is a actually when we create a service class, so service class like this type of class we can create. And when we create any class name, that class may be any name, but this particular directive attributes are required to create service class. Okay, if you are not created it properly, then you cannot create service class for Angular apps. Okay,
Okay.
this is the main thing. So if you creating this part, then it is a service class. If you are
Okay.
not created it, then it is not a service class, it is a normal class. You can create it as object, but it is not working as a dependency. Okay,
Okay.
so this
Yeah.
is the basically things are changed. And what is these things? If we create it as provide in root means basically when we create this class, so basically it's automatically uh, working as a global uh, global service class, means in this actually this particular class actually activated for any of class when you have to record any other class.
Okay.
Okay, and what is service class, or why service class is required? Service class basically required for when we create any service class, so after creating that service class may have some constructor input, and that constructor value inputs can be automatically filled by the main module. So basically for that particular purpose this service class are required.
Okay.
So how can apply using this service class? This is the service class when we create it. It is a simple class uh, as a regular class, and after that when we want to use that class in our application, so that time we can use inject method. In this inject method actually newly added in after Angular 17, and this injected class can be used like this way. Okay, so this is the actually part when we want to add to inject the session in our application, in our component, basically not application, in our component. Okay, once we are added it, this time when you want to add this class does not require to add in this particular area. Basically here have some import options we already seen before.
Yes.
If we create any third party class, third party component class if we want to create, so that time we need to inject that class as import, then we can use that class in our component. So similar like that, if we want to add any service class, we also require to add here with another parameter. So I will be discuss when I doing it practically. So basically what is the things, we have two type of process by creating service class like this way, and we can creating with this way also. What is the difference between both the things, I will be discussing later, because here the documentation is not properly created here.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes created, but it is not exactly what is this, you cannot get idea properly, but they are actually give these two things, but why, when, how it is it will be work, you cannot understood by reading the documentations, because it's should not be working properly
Oh,
as per documentations wise. So this is the part where we can using inject element and root provider. Here also we can create a predefined service class. HTTP client is a predefined service class. So basically I also talk about today HTTP clients, and this HTTP clients is a another service class which is already predefined by Angular team.
okay.
So here I have some auth guard which is available for authentication purpose. So let's try to another thing, how can we create the service class and how can use that. So if we want to create the service class, so service class can be created by ng command. After that we can use the generate, short form is G, and service class, so we can services, so service it is also short from is S, and then we can use the class name which
Oh,
you want to create it. So basically after creating that service class can be look like this way. So this is the part where we can see our service class like this way. Okay, and then what we can did here, what I can did here after creating this service class, if I create this service class basic data store, so then we can see that service class like this way. We can inside the component section, and that service class stored like this way. And advanced part, what is the advanced part? Inject, okay, one class inject to another class, and that part should be implemented with the main thing. Okay, so this is the part, and I will be discuss it later. And next part, I just check out what is here, which things is here. So here I have some dependency provider, and dependency provider basically providing, and provider basically thing is configurations. Okay, if we want to record some configurations for our applications, so that type these dependency injections are important for us. So just I watch out quickly what is the things is here. Okay, so many things actually in given here. And next part, okay, just I check out for myself, and then I
Sure.
dot about the concept. Okay,
Yes.
so I get understood what is the new updations here. So now let's try to work out for our application. So today your session will be class 12. Already I created before you join, and before that I need to install the dependencies all. So sudo npm I. Okay, all dependencies are installed, and then now I can start our applications here. So we are seeing basic parts here. So now I wanted to see some data can populate in this page, in contact page. Okay. So how can get the contacts data? So we can go to JSON placeholder type code. Sorry, JSON placeholder type code. So this is our uh, URL UI, and here we can see some API endpoints. This is actually demo API endpoints. Okay, it's not an actual API, it is a demo API. So this demo API can be used anywhere for the testing purpose. So this UI you can also use, this part you can also use for your uh, experiment purpose. I just paste the link. So this particular URL I will be use for our Angular application. So when we want to use our applications, this particular part, so for that particular process I need to add some dependency, because we required here this HTTP client first. If we want to use the HTTP clients, so before we need to add a dependency injections for our application. This is the main things which is required it first. Okay,
Okay.
so how we can do that, how can do it? So basically if we want to create this dependency, so basically open the source path, and after this source path we can see here have two files are imported from our app section. First one, app, which is the main UI part, and another part is app config. This is the secondary file. These two files is important for application startup. First thing, it is our main component, and this main component have some basic UI, which is are actually targeting the main root of the HTML section. Okay.
Okay.
So basically this app part targeting the this app root element, and in this app root element this particular app this is actually component class. It is actually a component class. This component class have HTML part, CSS part also here. Okay, so we can see HTML part, and this HTML part we have app header section, app menu section, and after that here have the outlet section where we can see other all pages, right?
Okay.
So basically this is the way where we can be added others classes which can be visible for our output. But if we require some data configuration, means if we want to record extra data supports, so that supports comes with the app.config.ts. This is the actually configuration part, and it is not only configuration part, it is actually a process to create our structure with some config. Basically config means if we are using any provider class like dependency injection, here we can create as dependencies. These dependencies if you are created by manually or uh, already have before.
Okay.
If we created any a service class, that service class need to be inject here first for dependencies support, and after dependencies are created, then we can use that facilities in our component. Basically if we want to using this router outlet part, if we are using this, so this router output also set up before app.config with this particular section. This provide router is a function, and there we pass the setup of routes, and this routes actually comes from this particular file. This is the file
Okay.
where we can see others component which are connected by the path.
Okay.
So if I change any path here, so basically this path are set up in this file, and this routes file are connected with this section. After
Okay.
that we can see when I click any URL path, then we can see the changes with help of this particular line. Okay, so if we want to require to data to import our application, so before importing actually before using this HTTP client, we need to add this particular function is required. Okay, provide HTTP client is required first in our app module section. So basically provide HTTP client is required for it first. If we using it, after that our application is enabled for API consumption. If you are not using this, our application and API cannot be working in our application. So now I just want to grab the data, this component section. Okay, so if I want to grab the component section, so how can grab that data? So before it we require to create a HTTP client object. So now HTTP we can create here, and after that we just use the equal HTTP. HTTP is a object name, and then I just use inject inject, and then we can create the HTTP client from the Angular HTTP path, so Angular directory. Okay, So this is the HTTP client object is created. It is a uh, one uh, first part. And once we created this HTTP client object once, then we can display that data into the constructor file. And if we want to get the constructor file, we can use directly data like this. Okay, so basically this is the JSON type equal to URL end. And after that, if we are using the get method, and after using get method, we can get response by the observable object. It is a observable object. Okay, and it is not a promise. Okay, it is not a promise object, it is a observable object, and promise and observable is some things is difference. So if we are using if we seen any observable data is returned from our classes from our object, so that means if we are using the observable class, so after using dot sign, you can see this type of syntax: for each, pipe, subscribe, and other things are being obsolete. Actually it's not be working anymore, but basically subscribe is required. Okay, so this subscribe functions when I created here, after that we can get the data, and then we can see the data in our console first, in our browser. Okay, could you understand the syntax?
Yes. So basically, we are using HTTP to read the API content.
Basically this
And then
HTTP object is required for create this particular functions purpose. Basically if you are creating any HTTP requests by get method, post method, whatever you want. Basically post method also here, post post patch, put, this type of method can be using uh, by this object. Okay,
okay.
so after using this, we can see the output in our console. So we go to the console mode, and after that we can see 10 objects comes from the URL. Okay, if we are not using this configuration process, what will be problem? So just I save it here, then you can see no provider found for HTTP client.
Okay.
Okay, so basically thing is, if we are not using this particular setup in our app config.ts file, then you will not get the data for your application.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the main things is setup is required. So this is a first part of process, and second things is if we are creating this particular process to create the object, but we have another process. You already seen when I using this dependency part, there have seen there we have we had seen dependency process where we are created it first, right?
Yeah.
Basically I not using private syntax before, but if we want to create the private, it will be okay. Basically we can use private. It's not so much changes in our code. Basically it's a just a encapsulations for your object instantiation, otherwise it does not require too much. Okay, but once you are using this, so these objects have no reference how it work. We have recommended we can create the another way to create the this object with the constructor way.
Okay.
Okay, so once I create it here, that means we can create it like this. Okay, and uh, just I use the HTTP like that, and after that we need to be instantiate here, then we can get the output as the documentation said.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the two way we can use like this way, but
Okay.
we have another third process except these two things. Just I comment out except two things. We can create directly private HTTP, and then we can create the HTTP object like this way. Only this one line we can create also for this particular injection purpose, and we have to get the data this three way.
Okay.
This time we have no required any inject method, just we can create the object like this directly.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the three way we can use and applied our data for the part for the but basically if we want to see the data in our output, so how can see the data in the HTML part? I wanted to see here ul, and then I want to see our all the names inside this li tag. So how can do that? So if we want to create, so basically before it we required some objects like users, sorry, const does not be working in our class section. Basically here we can create private, protected, whatever we can create, but const, let, var cannot be used for we cannot use in TypeScript class section. Okay,
Okay.
let const var we cannot be used when we are creating any objects in the class section. It does not
Okay.
applicable. It's only applicable under the functions, under the function.
Okay.
It is not a class level. In the class level we cannot be use this kind of syntaxes, this kind of initial syntaxes we cannot applicable. Okay, so now here we can use the user object like this, user array data, but it will be public. Okay, so once I created it, after getting the data, that data can be set up like this way. Okay, so if I set up it, so here have some typecasting problem. Basically thing is we get the data as object, but here our data is a normal array. So basically just I need to typecast here as any. If I using as any, then our problem will be solved. Okay, so now we cannot see any problem, but once problem is solved, then we can get out the data by the loop. So if we want to see loop, so then here is the process where we can get the data like this. Can it will be work? Okay, maybe for each is not actual syntax for here, because this for each is not working this angular syntax. It's actually comes from other syntaxes. Actually we can use this particular thing for angular. So basically we can use let user of users, after that track track track. Just I want to see essential part. In the essential part, if we want to some loops option, if we want to create, actually I cannot find from the documentations of what I actually required. This time I required uh, for loop. So this for loop is required for data. So this is the item. Okay, then track, it is required, and then we can use extra uh, things if we required. So but this first two things is required when we are using the for loop. So basically this is the syntax. This part does not require, and after that user dot id is required for this loop. Okay, and okay, so this syntax actually looks like php php template, so it is actually not correct syntax. Correct syntax is uh, this. Okay, so this is actually correct syntax, I think. Okay, dollar is not usable. Just seen what happened here. Name and email, I wanted to see name and email, username and email already here. Okay, basically thing is when it is actually coming, if data is available, so before it required if sign, and when users data is available, then we can see this for loop. What happening? Oh, uh, let's check it. prack. It's too much. Now it's working.
Okay.
Basically data types
What
does not
happened?
match.
What happened? Oh, okay.
Data types, basically here problem is data types. These data types I does not apply as any before.
Okay.
So these data types are not matched. So for that particular purpose, they are not matched the key value pair in the
Okay.
template section. So this is the actually main problem. But of course we can use these particular things also, because this is the stream data when we get. Okay, so basically this stream data we are get from the component section, and if we get that data as from the component section, after this we can see the data. um, so if I not using this if conditions before the for loop, so we can get some error functions maybe. So this time we are not getting any error. So basically if we are using this, so data type should match both of way. So this data and this data will be matched. And if
Okay.
you want to create a custom data class, like if you want, so just create the class app as user, and then you can create class like this. Okay, if you want, and after that that class can be declared like here user data types, and you can use the user class. For the object, but before it we can use partial. So this is actually data types are using here. So okay, leave this part at this moment, because this data types can be created exactly match whatever we have to get from the API endpoints. Basically this API data can be converted JSON to uh, TS class if we want to create. So JSON to TS converter, TS interface or converter, whatever you want. So you can get some converter options. So like this, we can get this kind of interfaces option. Okay.
Okay.
Once I get this interfaces option, so after that we can apply it and that things. TS file, and here we can paste everything here, and it is user object, we can create it here, and after that we can create it that interface class here maybe. Okay, so this is the output process to typecasting our data
Okay.
for our output. So this is the output which can we see. Okay, so this is the output of our data, but we have another options. So this is a first options what we can see. Okay,
Okay.
it's also big topic, but I don't know you give me time for more or not. So this is the way. Okay, if we want to split this code with the dependencies class, so that time this data comes from the, we can use also dependencies class for it. So for that we just open another terminal for our application, and now ng g s for uh, for user data, for users data. Okay, so just I created users data, and once I create this users data, so this users data created directly into the root path. So actually I don't want to create like this users data directly here. So basically I want to create it under the service folder, services
Okay.
folder. So I just write the folder name before uh, creating our class name. So now here we can see the service class, and once I create the service class, this service class are directly created here like this.
Okay. Okay.
And once we are create, so after this we does not require to use these particular things here. Actually just I
Okay.
comment out here at this moment because for your references. So just I comment this part, and now I will be created this thing into this particular section
Okay.
by the constructor, and in constructor everything can same. Basically this part also can be usable, and this also can be usable if you want. Okay, so this is the constructor part, and after that we want to all get all users data. So this is the all users data comes here. Okay, and once I get the all users data like this, and after that this is the actually class which is called as users data. Okay, and
Okay.
this user data are responding with the observable object. Okay, how can I create this now? This time we can create another constructor here, but this time we are not using HTTP client. Here I can create PRIVAT private user sorry users data object inject users data class, service class. Okay, that is the dependencies. And after using this dependency, we can get the data like this way. Okay, and
Okay.
after saving it, we cannot get any change for the output.
Okay.
So this is the another way where we can pass our data through the service class. Okay,
Okay.
if we are not using this injectable part, if we are not using, then we can get some problem because that data not coming. Actually it's not a provider objects. Okay,
Okay.
so if you need to inject as provider, because if you are not using this particular syntax, because if you created it by the command line, then it is automatically um, injected as a provider. But if we are not create this, then this section have some providers option, and in this provider option we can need to be inject this user data class object here, and then we can see. It's okay. Basically, this time we can also create it with the configurations part. Mm, okay, so provider name is uh, user data, and here we can use factory uh, object, and there we can create users data class for this particular session. Can it usable? No. Okay, so leave it the process. Basically if we are created without uh, this syntax, there have some another way. Basically this injectable part is required, but if we are not using the provide routine, then we need to maybe we need to set it. I don't
Okay.
know what actually, what kind of problem is here. Maybe this time this may be not working. Okay, maybe it's very much simple and straightforward process. Just we create it as injectable, and then we can use the constructor data like this, and after that we can create the object data using this way. So
Okay.
this is the users purpose for the, this is the service class. Actually it's service class, but this time service part not creating when we are create the service class, and they remove the suffix in the angular part. And after that here we have another options. If we want to use this data as observable object, basically this is the normal object, it is not an observable object. If we want to use it as observable object, ob is here observable object like this, we can also declare it like this way. Okay, so this is the observable object, and we can set up this observable object. Mm, we can get the data directly like this using usable objects. So after using this, we does not require this all the syntaxes here at this moment. Then if we are get the data as observable, then here we can use some pipe called async. And if we want to use the async pipe, so we must add a sync async pipe here to get the data. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's sometime complication a complex part, but I give you some 3 type of examples in this
Okay.
session.
Okay.
It's too much critical way. I don't know you can understood or not, because it is have documented way which I created before, but it's have lots of logics behind this process.
Okay.
So I said I will be say you need to practice it,
Okay.
because if you are not practice it by yourself, you are not captured the idea what I written here. Did you
Understood.
practice my previous sessions?
No, this session I could watch only. I could not practice.
Okay.
Just like before the session I watched, I could not practice the last session.
Okay. So in this session, I also talk about the async pipe. Uh, Last class we already discussed about the pipes. So this time I use this pipe part for this particular data, because when we want to use when we want to represent the data, so data representation process is here, and this process are actually created by this single line syntax, and we can get the data directly here with the pipe.
Okay.
Okay, so we I just discuss about 3 things here mostly. uh, Number one, I talk about with you for the HTTP client. Okay, and second things is a dependency injection for the basics, and also how can get the data with the pipes.
Okay.
With the pipes, so component here, not component section, we can template section, we can get the using the pipes. So here I have so many pipes are here. So one most important pipes is async pipe.
Oh,
And you can see if we are have promise or observable data objects, that time we can use async pipe.
okay. Oh,
Okay, so our time isn't